I'm Saturday hauling for you guys today, and I'm going to start off with two repurchases. They're both setting mists or facial mists. I completely ran out of the Peach and Lily Glass Skin Veil Mist, this guy right here, and I just hadn't repurchased it, and I missed the product. So I went ahead and picked this guy up right here. It's in a glass spritzer bottle that has got a total of 100 milliliters or 3.38 fluid ounces of product, and the Peach and Lily is made in Korea. And then I also picked up another one of the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Ultrafine Mist, this guy right here, because mine is nearly empty. The Watermelon Glow Mist is 75 milliliters or 2.53 fluid ounces, and I believe they're also made in Korea. Yes, made in Korea. So both of my favorite setting mists or face sprays are made in Korea. Coincidence? Probably not. I've talked about both of these products for years, and I've been through so many bottles of both of these. But to compare the formulations of the two, the Peach and Lily is just a lighter version of the Glow Recipe. I actually spritzed on like a full beat of the Glow Recipe over my face, and then I topped it off about, I don't know, half hour later with the Peach and Lily. And I do that quite often, just depends on how my skin feels, but it was feeling a little bit drier than normal, so I kind of layered them up today. But the Peach and Lily has a nice mister on it in comparison to a lot of other like pump style ones that I've tried, but it's not quite as fine as the Glow Recipe, but it's still a nice mister on it. Sometimes it can come out a little bit more uneven, but the mist isn't like psh, in your face like some can be. And then the Glow Recipe formula is just a little bit more hydrating than the Peach and Lily, but both of these mists, which is one of the reasons I absolutely love them, they don't irritate my skin, I don't get breakouts from them, and they're mists that actually hydrate my skin. There are so many like face mists and setting mists and hydrating mists that I have tried that don't actually hydrate the skin. They like sit on top with almost like a film, and they can make my skin feel quite restricted. So these two do not do that. So I continue to use them, and I do try different ones every now and again, but these are just the go-to. So again, I'm almost out of the Glow Recipe. I was out of the Peach and Lily, so I picked up another one of each of those. I also picked up the new Rabanne Nudes Everywhere Concealer. This is a new concealer from Rabanne, and it's got a total of 10 milliliters or 0.34 fluid ounces of product, and this guy here is made in Italy, and the shade that I got is number 2, which was the lightest with pink undertones. So it's called the Everywhere Concealer. It says Real Skin Radiance Concealer, super hydrating, up to 24-hour lasting glow and buildable coverage, which I do find that it's buildable. I find that it lasts really well. It's super thin and comfortable underneath the eyes, and it doesn't feel drying at all. So I do really like the concealer so far. I've used it a few times. This is what the packaging looks like. It's a squeezy tube with a doe foot applicator. So this is the concealer that I've got underneath my eyes today, and it just is a very nice product from Rabanne. The doe foot on this guy is just a little wobbly though, and I don't know if they're all like that, but this one that I have is just like, I thought I thought for a minute that it was gonna fall off. It didn't fall off, but that's how kind of like flimsy, or not flimsy, but like how much like movement it has, you know. But this is the shade number 2 again, and it is so pretty. I just do a swipe underneath both eyes, and that's enough, and you can see that straight away it's got medium coverage to it. And I haven't really felt the need to build it up, but it's got like a serum-y lotion type of a texture with nice coverage to it. So I've really been enjoying this guy. Again, this is the new Rabanne Nudes Everywhere Concealer in the shade number 2 right there. Matches me pretty good too. I also picked up 2 products from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This first one is one of their Magic Touch blush trios, and these have been out for a decent bit here, but it's a newer product from the brand. I got the pink one. There's 3 grams or 0.11 ounces of product, 0.11 ounces each, so each shade is 0.11 ounces of product. And these guys here are made in Italy. So this is the box packaging. The actual packaging is this gold right here, and then you just twist the lid off, and you've got 3 shades of pink blush, and the formulation on this is super, super nice. Like, I'm 99% sure that I'm going to pick up the peach one too, that has a really pretty orange and some like terracotta shades in it. I just dip into this with my sponge, pounce it on the cheeks. The product is really like opaque. It doesn't move around foundation or anything underneath, and it blends out just super, super well. So I've actually got this shade on my cheeks today primarily, and I say that because I did top it with another blush And then I topped it with another blush, and I'll explain that when I get to those. But I have worn these 3 blushes a decent amount of time so far, and it's just a super, super nice cream blush from Anastasia. Like I said, I'm probably, I'm gonna get the peach one. Like super great pigmentation, blend out so, so nice. And when I've worn these 2 shades, I've just used those 2 shades and set over the top, and they still, like, through setting powder, look so vibrant and pretty. I just really, really like the formulation of these. So that guy there is the Magic Touch Blush Trio from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Again, this is the pink one. And then I also got the new shade in the lip liner in Stormy, really ashy, pretty brown shade, which is what I've got on my lips today. So this is 1.49 grams or 0.053 ounces of product, and this guy is made in the Czech Republic. So Anastasia launched new shades in her lip liners, and I've got quite a few of these lip liners. They're wooden style sharpening pencils, and I do quite like them. I find that if you don't use them for a minute, you'll want to sharpen them because it can get a little bit hard. And this guy here, I love the color of it, and I don't know if it's because I had a lip oil on or what the deal was particular today, but it wanted to ball up more today than I remember using it, because I've worn it quite a few times since I've had it, and it does want to ball up a little bit, but today it was worse than some other days. So when I want to get some opacity out of it and not have it be a little bit more definitive, so I go over it to get that opacity, it wants to kind of ball up a little bit. Just something to kind of be aware of, that you got to work with it a little bit. And I think I'm going to try to go over. I think you can kind of see, even when I swatched it there, you can see pieces of the product, right? And so if I go over it a little bit more here, I wonder if you can kind of tell that it gets a bit like gummy or piecey. And so after I was lining them, I kind of like used my finger to kind of brush off the piecey bits that were on there. But I love the color. It's such a pretty shade of like neutral gray, kind of taupey brown. And it looks super cool with the lip product that I have on, which I'm really loving. So that is the new Anastasia lip liner in Stormy. I do wish this formula didn't do that, because it's kind of a pain, because you have to, like, you know, work with it a little bit to get it more seamless. I do find that pieciness, or not that like smooth opaque color, is covered up a little bit when I go over it with lipstick or whatever. I just take it right over the liner, which is what I did today as well. But again, that is the shade Stormy. So the lip product I'm talking about is a new one from MAC. They came out with these Dazzle Lips crayons, and I wasn't sure, like, I thought this shade I was gonna love it. But sometimes when you see the pictures online, they don't kind of turn out the same when you get it. This one did. It's so, so pretty. And there is a nude creamy shade, and I like the sparkle of this product so much, I'm gonna pick up that light nude peachy shade as well. But the one that I got is spaced out. And that is what I've got on my lips today with that Anastasia Beverly Hills lip liner. So this has got 0.05 ounces or 1.5 grams of product, and it is made in the USA. And so these are crayons. I love that the packaging is the color of the lip product. And these are twist ups as well, so you don't sharpen them. And they're not like super humongous like some chubby crayons can be, so you can really get like precise with it. So I can really take the product right over that lip liner, which I really like. And oh, it's so pretty. It is so pretty. It's so easy to wear. It feels nice on the lips. I don't feel a ton of grit with it either, with how sparkly it is. I just really like it a lot. And I was like tempted to pick up another one of this shade as well. It's kind of what I was wishing the pink and the Fenty Gloss Bomb sparkly ones that I love. I still love the one that I have, but I was kind of wishing it was a little bit lighter, kind of like this is. Still love that one. It's a little bit warmer, a little bit deeper, but this is just awesome. I just love this a lot. So let's put it right here. Whoa. It is so pretty. So, so pretty. I wish there was like a lighter orange shade. The orange one that they have looks a little bit deeper than kind of what I would like, but these are awesome. If you like sparkly lips, these are for you. I sense the slightest bit of MAC vanilla in it, but not a lot. It's very, very slight, but I really love this. So again, this is the new MAC Dazzle Lips Crayon in Spaced Out right there. And that's what I've got on this lip combo. And then the blush that I topped over the other blush that's over the Anastasia cream is from Glossier. These blushes are so nice. I picked up another one of the Cloud Paint Plush blushes in the shade Billow, which is the lilac cool pink. It's a 6 grams, 0.21 ounces of product, and this guy is made in Italy. So this is the second one of these that I have purchased. Wouldn't mind owning the whole range. Very, very unique formula. It's like a putty powder, but leaning more towards powder that's really, really finely milled, and the texture of the product is so thin, but it's pigmented and it blends out really, really nice on the cheeks. So I had some issues when I layered a powder blush from a palette I'm going to show you in a minute. So then I went over it with this because it kind of tied my look together a little bit. You can't see it that well because of the blush products are so strong, because I was trying to build up the blush to take away the patchiness that blush did on my cheek today. So that's kind of where the layering came from. And then I was like, well, we'll just throw this right over the top of it. You can barely see it, but by itself, it is such a beautiful lilac. These blushes, again, from Glossier are super, super nice. They feel like, when I swatch it like this, it feels like silk, like cream, like a pressed, if you took a bag of powder and you pressed it and then put your finger on it, this is what it would feel like, I think. That's how soft it is. And again, this color is beautiful. Again, it does have that, you know, putty texture to it, but there's powder, more powder infused than something like a ColourPop Super Shock or whatever, which you can really feel the cream factor in those. And this is just beautiful. So that, again, is the Seamless Cheek Color in Billow from the new Glossier blush range right there. Love the color-coded packaging as well. The packaging itself is just a simple, like, lightweight, quick style plastic, but the product is stunning. So the blush from the palette I was talking about is from the new Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Instant Look in a palette. So they came out with 2 of these for the holidays. I got the darker of the 2 called Dreamy Bronzed Beauty. The light one just, it didn't look like it would have the depth that I was looking for, especially in like an all-in-one palette. So I got the deeper one. I'm really glad that I did, because I really, really like the color story, and I do like the products in here. Today I used a powder that I'll also show you in a minute that I got in PR, and that's why I kind of look a little bit darker as well, because it kind of deepened up my skin tone. And I had a little bit of issues with the one blush. Let me just tell you which one it is real quick. So before I get ahead of myself here, there's a total of 22 grams or 0.77 ounces of product in this guy. And I believe these are also made in Italy. Yeah, so made in Italy. The packaging, I was surprised. I thought this was going to be that rubber, like glazed over sparkle, but it's not. It's a fabric texture to it. It's really pretty. I'm going to try to keep it from getting like makeup prints and stuff on it, but it's not that like rubberized coating on there, which was surprising. And then you've got 3 eyeshadows and 4 face products. So I actually use this matte kind of translucent powder underneath the brow as an eyeshadow, and also if I wanted to tame down any of the other cheek products, it works really well for that. That's kind of how I've used that. And these 3 are standard powder products, and this guy down here is like a baked gelée, but it's got more slip to it than your normal baked product. Like it's almost more geleed than it is baked. And there's something about that slip, especially today over that powder that I used, that it didn't want to stick very well, and it went on really patchy and I couldn't build it up. So then I went over it with this powder, and that helped out a lot to kind of get that patchiness away. And then I kind of tried to tone it down with the face powder. And then I went over with the Glossier. So I got a little bit of an intense cheek. I still think it's really pretty. Like I really like the tones of it, and this shade does work better over the Huda setting powder. But I do want to make note of that. It was quite finicky with me today. It was finicky with me a little bit with the Huda, but not as bad as with this other powder. So I do have the bronzer on today as well to bronze contour my face, and it does pull quite warm on me, but I think it looks really nice. And then you've got these 2 glitter shades, like glitter pressed shadows, and then this matte kind of burgundy. And these are like the topper shades, but there's nice pigmentation to them. that over like a tacky base, they're great eyeshadows by themselves. I do think they work best with a stiffer kind of a brush, whether it's a blending brush or a flat shader, something like that, to really get those sparkles to pick up. But they're not as stiff as I've tried in the past from some of her palettes like this. I gotta say, this is one of my favorite probably face in a palettes that I've tried in a while, and I really like when I do use the eye shades, I also use the cheek shades. So I like blended out this matte burgundy with the bronzer and then put this underneath the brow, and the whole look, especially when you use those cheek products, it just looks so good together. So again, I'm really glad that I picked up this darker one as well. The sparkles in those shadows are really pretty. And then these three. So these two are matte, and then this one's got like a glazy finish to it. As you can see right there. There's just something about that one that, depending on what you use to set your face, it doesn't want to mix super well with, but it's pretty on the eyes as well, so not too big of a deal for me. But that's just what went on today with my blush situation. So that is, again, the new for holiday Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Instant Look in a palette in Dreamy Bronzed Beauty right there. And then Guerlain also launched their holiday collection, and I picked up their Meteorites, which is one of my favorite products to pick up during the holidays, is the new Guerlain Meteorites. So these are called the Meteorites Midnight Glow Light Revealing Pearls of Powder. 0.7 ounces of product, or 20 grams. And again, these are called Midnight Glow. So fun fact, Meteorites used to be 1.05, I think, ounces. And then they went down to, I think, 0.8, and now they're 0.7, so they're giving us less and less product. But I've got like so many limited edition Meteorites, and they're just some of my favorite things. So they used to smell of violet, and that smell is like so nostalgic, but they did switch the scent a few years ago. I still don't mind it, but I do prefer the violet scent. And then they also, I believe, went talc free. So the originals are my favorite, but I still really like the newest formula as well. So these ones, again, are the holiday Meteorites. And something that was interesting about these ones was there was a sponge on the top, and there was also a sponge on the bottom, which I thought was interesting. I pulled them both out. So there was a sponge on the bottom of the pearls and on the top, and then on the top of the sponge on the top there was a little Guerlain puff that was in there. And I'm thinking maybe they did that so that the pearls stayed a little bit tighter in the tin to not break apart, which to me doesn't make a difference, because I tend to shake the tin up to get the powder to break apart, because I use a really soft face brush, and I don't want to like be beating up my natural bristle brushes in the powder. So I just wanted to be able to easily pick up that product. So I do end up like shaking the tin or whatever. So this is the holiday tin right here. And this isn't a sticker. It's got like this rubberized feel to it. It's like a rubber piece that's in there. It's pretty. And then they did put the little star pearls in here, which is super fun. And these I would liken to the 01 shade. That's kind of the tones that are in this. And then you've got the stars that are in here as well, which are the yellow ones. And I do have these buffed all over my face today as well. I've kind of been using them a decent amount since I've gotten them, because I hadn't been using the Meteorites for a minute because I love that Morphe powder so much. And then I got these and started using them, and I just love the Guerlain Meteorites for a finishing powder. So I don't know for what it's worth here. Let's try to do a swatch. There's a subtle bit of a sheen in here, but there's not a ton of visible sparkle. Just the tiniest bits of what I would say is a subtle mica in there, but it's nothing over the top. I don't really notice a sparkle on the skin, just a soft radiance. And the Meteorites do a really good job of like blending everything and tying everything together on the face. which is why I've loved and used them for so long. So yeah, they're kind of right there. Just a subtle, subtle, subtle sparkle in there. I'm half tempted to pick up a backup of those, but I thought it would be fun to show you guys some meteorites that came out for the holidays maybe 7 or 8 years ago, because these are super cool. This, I actually do have a backup of this one right here, and this was when the meteorites were 30 grams. What did I say these ones were? 20. The meteorites used to come with a whole 10 grams more of product. Just saying. So again, I do have a backup of these, but these had this creamy texture to it. It didn't have really the pinks or the purple or green kind of colors that were in there. And then the stars in these ones were these little guys right here. But how beautiful, right? And there was a mirror in the top of the lid as well. And then you can kind of see the snowflakes in the top of the packaging. Super fun, right? These ones do smell like violet. Ugh, it takes me back, man. And then I simply could not wait for the Sephora sale to pick up the new Danessa Myricks Lightwork Volume 7 Freedom palette. It just launched. So this is actually what I have got on my eyes today. There's 18 shades that are 1.2 grams each, or 0.04 ounces, for a total of 21.6 grams. And this palette is made in China. The packaging of the palette when it first comes is just loaded with all kinds of like packaging so it doesn't get wrecked and stuff like that. But for simplicity, I'll just show you the two things that are in the box. So much like the one that came out last year, there's a palette in the lid. Well, it's not a palette, it's the cover to the palette, because these 6 pans are all removable, and then you can put the lid on top and have a 6-pan palette. And then these are magnetized as well as last year's, and then also the 6-pan that they came out with for the spring. So if you have all 3 of those, like mixing, matching, and putting together a little 6-pan palette will be super, super fun. The lid on this one's a rose gold see-through, which I do like. One thing I'd mentioned before is I do wish that the lid magnetized to the back of the palette, but it doesn't, because I do like tend to use the whole palette when I use it and just hold it, but it doesn't like stick to the actual palette itself, so I end up setting it down. And then there is a plastic sheet in there that has the Lightwork Volume 7 and Danessa Myricks on it. And then there's also a pouch just like the other ones that comes with it, so that you can take the 6-pan palette and put it in the pouch if you want to like travel with it or have it be extra protected or anything like that. And it's one of these guys that just pop open and it's magnetized, so that is in there as well. This palette has 5 mattes in it, which last year's had no mattes in it. I really appreciate that there's mattes in this one, and there's also mattes in the spring one, so it'll be fun to kind of mix and match those. But they're really nice, like neutral tones that work really well with the bright shimmery colors. So I've got the black, the gray, and then these 2 browns in my crease upwards, and then I used this kind of peachy duochrome underneath the brow, and then this purple on the lid, and this really sparkly silver shade. Now these flakier looking textured ones, there's this guy and this guy, and then this one up here, and this one down here a little bit too. You can get some fallout with those because of the texture of it, but sometimes that type of a texture is what gives it that really pretty interesting shift on the eye. So I don't mind it because they brush off the face pretty easily, but I do want to make note of that. Otherwise there's some beautiful multi-chromes in here as well as duochromes and mattes. So let's do them by 6 pans, should we? Let's do them by 6. Super creamy. These are just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The mattes are pigmented, blend out really well. And then these next ones. You can really use the matte shades that are in here to pull really cool or really warm, because that like brown like this has got quite a bit of warmth in it, and then you got the black and gray and stuff. So some pretty decent versatile neutral mattes in here, which work again great with the different textures of the shimmers and stuff in here. Metallics, sparklies, multi-chromes, and then these next guys. I don't want to like have too much of that purple get picked up, because that one is quite kind of chunky. And then these guys over here. Wait till you see this blue. These colors, whoa. They're beautiful, so beautiful. I should grab a little bit more of this shade. I touched it quite lightly. This one's got a little bit more of a brown in it compared to the last shade here, which I'm going to show you has got more silver in it, because they look quite similar when you just look at them in the palette there. But again, this one's got a little bit more of a brown and this one's more silver. So these last two here. That black is so pigmented, but so smooth. It's super soft and just rich. Look at that. Look at how smooth that black is, man. So, I mean, can we just... I just love this palette. It is so pretty. I love all the looks that I do out of here. I think I've worn every single shade in here so far. So again, that there is the new Freedom Volume 7 Danessa. I'm scared I'm going to drop this. Volume 7 palette. And let me grab last year's too, just to show you them together. I do think that the shades in the larger palettes, not necessarily the mattes, but the sparkle shades, have got a little bit more of a wow factor in comparison to the Spring 6 pan. Those are still really pretty, but there's something a little bit more interesting about the ones in the larger palettes. So on top is last year's Freedom palette, and then on the bottom is this year. So everything in last year's was shimmer and sparkle, where this one has got some mattes, which make it more standalone because of those matte shades in there. But again, these are all magnetized, so you can switch them around. You can put them in an independent makeup palette if you want, or you can use the little 6-pan palettes in here and just grab the lid, you know. So these are just super fun. Again, this is what's on my eyes today, and she's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And that's everything that I got and that I purchased. I did get in a PR package from Catrice with some new launches from them. This nice 3-tiered box. So let me get into those. So they came out with the Soft Glam Baked Blushes. There are 4 shades of those. There's 5.6 grams or 0.19 ounces of product in here. And these guys are made in the PRC is what it says on the packaging. And the formulation of this is a drugstore dupe for the Rare Beauty powder blushes. These guys right here, like almost dead on. I would say that maybe the Rare Beauty is a little bit, well, at least I only have one shade of the Rare Beauty. Might be a little bit more glowy, but that texture is like near identical. And I've worn every single shade of these, and they're just super easy to wear and blend out. So we've got 010 on Cloud Pink, which is kind of the most similar to the shade that I bought from Rare Beauty. I think the Rare Beauty one's a little bit more pink than this one, but I'll swatch the Rare Beauty one on top after I swatch these 4. But super thin, finely milled, delicate texture with nice pigmentation and shine to it. So again, this is on Cloud Pink. And then we have got 020 Peachy Bronze right here. So again, this is 020 Peachy Bronze. And then we have 030 Cheeky Coral, which is super pretty. That one is Cheeky Coral. And then we have got 040, and this one's called Midnight Berry. So again, this one is Midnight Berry. And these are only $8 as well at the drugstore. This Midnight Berry shade might be the softest, unless I just put too much of my finger in there. And then I'll swatch the shade Happy that I have from Rare Beauty as well. The formulation between these products is so similar. Actually, it seems like the Catrice ones have got a little bit more pigment than the Rare Beauty. But these are just really, really pretty. So again, those are the new Catrice Soft Glam Baked Blushes. And then they also launched this Blur Balm Blush Palette. So this has got 6 grams or 0.21 ounces of product, and this is also made in the PRC. So I find that some of the shades are a little bit more sheer than others, but these 4 right here are probably the most pigmented. This one's a little bit sheer on, and this one's kind of like a highlight shade. And I think I've worn these 3 shades, and they go on really well. They've got like a glowy pigmentation to them, is I guess the best way I could probably describe that. But like I said, these 4 have got a little bit more pigmentation than this one in the upper corner and obviously the highlight kind of shade. Yeah, you can kind of see that right there. And then these 2 shades. So nice little 6-pan, I would say it's a highlight blush palette because of that shade, but you could also use that if you wanted to tone down or sheer out any of the other shades as well and put a little bit more of like a shimmer in it, because there's a slight shimmer in that shade where the other ones are kind of just creams. There is actually a little bit of a shimmer in this orange shade as well, but it's really subtle. So you could use that shade to kind of mix and sheer out, or just use it as a highlight. So that is the Blur Balm Blush Palette right there. If you hear the wind, I had to crack the window because I'm like roasting. And then Catrice also launched 7 of the Soft Blur Matte Setting Powders. So there's 001 Translucent is the one with no color. And these have got a total of, where can I see? 0.28 ounces of product, or 8 grams. And these are made in Poland. I think Catrice and Essence are sister brands, right? I'm pretty sure. So Essence makes one of my favorite powders for like taking down shine and stuff. Use it every single day. But this is the translucent version, and this is probably the best shade for me to set my whole face. I used the 020 light tinted one today on my face, and that kind of deepened up, and it has a little bit more of a warm golden undertone to it than anything, but it definitely deepened up over like a emollient surface when I set the foundation, you know. So translucent is the one for me. And then the packaging has got one of those stoppers in it, so I tend to just take a lid, which is what I did today, and put the powder in something flat where I can evenly get it on my setting brush, because I can't get even distribution with these like sifter things. And this is just a personal preference, but and then I can't use the lid because of the stopper in there, but I wanted to make note of that. Very, very pretty powder, and the translucent is nice underneath the eyes. I do have my Flower Nose Huda mixture on today, but it's got a little bit more coverage, I guess, if you will, in comparison to like my current mixture, but it is still a nice like under eye setting powder. It's very, very soft. So as you can see, translucent is translucent, and this works best for me all over the face. And then we have the shade that I have got on is 020. Again, all 6 of the tinted powders do deepen when you set over an emollient surface, at least on my skin tone. So I think like the brightening shades that I'm going to show you might really work well on light, medium, deep skin tones for brightening. But if you're light skin, it's going to deepen, I think, a little bit too much because the color intensity is quite strong on it. And since the back of my hand is quite dry, you're not really getting the effect because I obviously set it over, you know, tacky emollient surface, which it deepened up, but you kind of can't even see that. But 020 is what I have on my face today, and the finish is really pretty. The powder is a really nice like setting powder for all over the face. Here is 030 medium. Right here. That's 030 medium. Here's 040 tan, which I might toy around with these deeper shades as like a bronze, because the texture of these is so thin, but they still have nice pigmentation to them, and see kind of how it goes because these tones are quite nice. So that one right there is 040 tan. And then we have 060 in deep right here, which this also has a nice red kind of tone to it as well. I just like that tone of it. It kind of reminds me of the CeraVe sunscreen, but that one is 060. And then there are 2 of the Bright and Blur shades, these guys right here. So we've got 020 soft pink, and again, over a tacky surface, these just, the color shows up a little bit too much on my lighter skin tone. So, but again, the texture is quite nice. Is this helpful? Is swatching setting powders helpful? I think you can kind of see. And I think you can even see like the blurring effect that that gives the skin too. So that one is the pink one. And then there's 030 soft peach, which is a soft peach color right here. You know what, I actually might think that these might be fun to use is a finishing powder with a blur to it, because I'm not setting like a real emollient surface. That might be really nice to use like that. I'm going to try these as a finishing powder, since like they just deepen up a little bit too much for me. But that one is the peach one right there. So you can see these ones. These ones kind of you can't see too well, but the soft blur powder is $9, and that wind is just a howling out there, which feels quite good on me, but it's a little loud. And then lastly, in the PR box, they sent over these new Color Cushion Juicy Lip Oils, and there are 5 shades of these. And I love these. I've actually been toting one of these around in my pocket just to use throughout the day. Depending on the shade, there's a light tint, but they're all very, very wearable. And they have a light kind of a sweet scent to them, candy kind of sweet scent to them. And these have got 1.8 milliliters or 0.06 fluid ounces of product. And these guys are made in the PRC. So they're the click style, and then they have the little sponge tip applicator, so you twist them to get the product out. You can't get it back in, so you do want to be a little mindful of how many times you like click it up. But this first shade here, it's kind of shiny, the packaging. Where can I find you? 050 Drenched Drama is this first shade. So that one is Drenched Drama. Oh, I just really like the smell of these. And then we have got 030 Palm Punch, which is a really pretty punchy pink color. This here, like, it gives your lips a real tropical pink tint to them that's really pretty. So again, that one is Palm Punch. And then we've got 040 Crimson Crush right here. This one is Crimson Crush right there. And then there's 020 Gloss Angeles. I got to take some more of this out because I think these next two I've been wearing quite a bit. So this one is Gloss Angeles right here. It's got this nice like hint of tangerine. And then we have got the shade Baywatch, which is a pinky nude color. So this one again is Baywatch. Oh yeah, I didn't get enough product out of there. I'm trying to be stingy. So again, that one is what I say, Baywatch. And then I'll show you, because you don't, probably put them on as opaque as some of these look, that they just have a nice like light tint to them, Super nice products. I really, really like those lip products. So those are the new Color Cushion Juicy Lip Oils right there. And a huge thank you to Catrice for sending over that PR package as well. And that's everything that I have for the haul today. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it helpful. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to wear sunscreen, and I will see you guys later. Bye.